good evening, and welcome to another edition of the People's Choice here on WCEG Talk Radio, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Network group, and everything else that you can encompass in that acronym there. Ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube as well. Be advised that the views that are shared by the host are not the views of WCEG Talk Radio, but more so of me, myself, and I. And I am your host, Joe Flint, all one word, like a tribe called Quest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us this evening two candidates in this great county of Fulton. Fulton County has been on the map here lately in the state of Georgia, mainly because of elections, but we're always on the top. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of having with us, and I'll have you to know ladies go first. We have with us Miss Jacki Labat, got it, Labat, who is running for City Council District in the city of Atlanta, City Council District 3 at large, Post 3 at large. And we have with us Mr. Mario Avery, former mayor of the city of Fairburn, seeking another term in that great city. And without question and without any true, I don't even know how to introduce her. She doesn't need an introduction of herself, but the godmother, apparently James Brown passed on his crown to the godmother, Damita Chatman, my ace, my buddy. Thank you all so very much for joining us this evening here on the People's Choice on WCEG Talk Radio. Well, listen, I just want to get right into it. First and foremost, thank you all, Mr. Avery and Miss Labat, for joining us here this evening. I have not had the privilege of meeting you all prior to today, so real informative, but I want to know who you are, mainly so that the people can know who you are. And so again, we'll start with ladies first. Ms. Labat, tell us a little about who you are, where you're from, your background, and why now Post 3 at large.
Yes, thank you so much for having me this evening. I appreciate you all so very much, and other groups, for having these platforms, because as you know, voter turnout has been just abysmal. And I have been encouraged by the number of platforms such as this, thinking that it would drive the voter turnout. So I say we just keep going, and I appreciate you. I am Jacki Labat. I am an Atlanta native. I am born and raised in Southwest Atlanta. And I say partially raised in Southwest Atlanta because that went through elementary school, and then we moved to Roswell. So I finished high school out in North Fulton County.
Gotcha.
I graduated and went to Hampton University, attended an HBCU. And actually, I majored in biology, and I did absolutely nothing with my degree. I was under pressure to find a major to do something, but I did not take, and that's part of my platform with our youth, I did not take the time to really cultivate what my interests were. I just felt I needed to grab something to get a degree. Came back home and did not pursue biology, but went into corporate America as an executive assistant. And I spent about 25 years as the right hand to a lot of Atlanta's Fortune 500 CEOs. I also served as chief of staff for Coretta Scott King, my all-time favorite job and mentor. And I sort of stumbled into public service. I went into business for myself as a management consultant, but when I married my husband, who was then the chief at the city jail, I underestimated and honestly just was not aware of the role that the spouse of the chief would play in terms of being a morale booster and someone that employees, their families, and other people within the city actually would look up to and depend on. So as he went through some things at the jail, I began to get more involved in youth services, employee services, resume development. And I just kind of fell in love with public service and the whole aspect of it. For me, running for office, if you were to ask me a year ago, if you were to ever ask me, unlike a lot of people who were in my race and my opponent who remains in the race, I haven't run for office year after year after year. I won't be running for office year after year after year. If I do a good job here and I feel that in 4 years I've improved your quality of life and those people in Atlanta and I could do it again, I will run again. But this is not political for me. It's all about the service. So when the incumbent, Andre Dickens, decided to run for mayor, I had such a positive rapport with the existing council members. We all talked about it. It just seemed like a no-brainer. So it's more of a calling. I believe Atlanta's at a pivotal juncture. My platform is threefold: crime and public safety, affordable housing, and our youth. I want to explore opportunities to really cultivate our youth, work with APS to really help our youth succeed outside the classroom and beyond a GPA, because I feel so many will be disadvantaged on the back end of the COVID loss. But despite COVID, just like my situation, I think sometimes you just have to dig into these kids outside of a GPA and find what are you talented at, what are your interests, get them going with little junior internships early on that can spark that interest and praise them. So those are my key initiatives. I'm excited about the future of Atlanta. I'm excited to work with whichever mayor is elected and the rest of the council and our surrounding municipalities, because I think relationships are important.
That was a very, very good introduction, Ms.
Thank
Labat.
you. I was trying to go, my batteries, that's why I was late.
That's all right.
Batteries
That's all
went out on my
right.
clock.
Listen, just so you know, I will not hold it against you that you did graduate from Atlanta Public Schools, that you graduated from North Fulton. I won't hold it against you.
I hear that all the time.
There's
Thank
only
you.
one high school in Atlanta, though, just so you know. When you
Uh-oh, which one?
Booker Telefair Washington Comprehensive High School. There's only one high school in Atlanta. I just need
Valerie Williams. Hello,
yeah.
Valerie.
Hello. Hello. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And we're going to talk to you very soon. Have some questions for the things that you mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, we're also privileged this evening to have with us former mayor, former city council member of the city of Fairburn, Georgia, Mr. Mario Avery. My mother lives in your city, so you need to tell me something, Mario, so I can tell her to vote for you come November 30th. How are you, sir? Tell us about it.
I'm doing well. Again, my name is Mario Avery. I'm want to welcome thanks for inviting me on the show, yes, and I want to welcome Ms. Labat as well. I'm actually Mario Avery, actually an Atlanta native, one of the few people that in the Atlanta area that can truly say they were born, raised, Bankhead Highway. Very familiar with, yes, I caught that Washington High School. I was right around the corner. I went to West Fulton High School at Bankhead.
Down the street, you a little further down the road, down.
Exactly, and so proud graduate of, again, Atlanta Public School system, and matriculated on to Morris Brown College, the school of a proud HBCU. And again, well, we're on our way out. We've had a tough time, but we're on our way back. And so I'm very proud. Again, later in life, went on and got my MBA degree in business administration from Grand Canyon University. My life has been a storybook, I guess you could say. And so I'll just start with once I got out of college, I went in and spent years in the military, veteran of Desert Storm. Both enlisted and an officer while in the military. And so enjoyed that tenure. A lot of what I was able to accomplish as mayor was a direct reflection of the managerial training and the understanding the value of having credible managerial people in place. And so again, I'm very proud to say I've worked with two mayors of Atlanta once I got out of the military, Bill Campbell and Shirley Franklin, where I got a chance to really see how government works up from a close view. Unknown to me in the 90s while I worked for the city of Atlanta, never imagined that I would actually end up being a public office myself. I'm now currently employed now for 19 years. I'm the contract and compliance administrator of the Fulton County government, and whereby I'm responsible for ensuring that minority and female-owned businesses get opportunities. One of the other jobs that that many people don't like to talk about, the contract compliance division, is probably the closest thing you're going to get to internal affairs. And so one of the things, I make it no secret that we were able to actually crack down on some of the criminal activity while working for the city of Atlanta. Myself and several members, my current director here, coincidentally, we were named in one of the largest lawsuits where we defended the city of Atlanta's affirmative action program, which is what it's called. Later in life came in, and I want to make sure I don't miss that. I'm a proud member now since 2003 of World Changers Church International, where I'm very proud to be a member again, where I served in both the education ministry and most recently served in the prayer ministry. Looking once this is all over with, and we sometime in 2022, I'll be joining proud member in the youth ministry. And so again, I'm a firm believer that our kids are everything. Went on to become a council member, as you mentioned, in the city of Fairburn, whereby I was actually able to acquire an understanding of a lot of different things that needed to basically, in this case, just simply be updated. And it wasn't that the city of Fairburn wasn't doing good upon my arrival, but like anything else, nothing just stays the same. And so during my tenure as a council member, I was able to take what I learned in graduate school, I was able to take from the military, and of course, the two mayors of Atlanta that I proudly served. And I was actually able to later run for the mayor of Fairburn. And my whole motto during my tenure was, and everyone will tell you in the city of Fairburn, one family. I made it no secret that the family unit is important to me. There's 600 of us in the Avery family that's in the metro area. So family is everything to me. And so during that tenure as mayor, I'm very proud that the city of Fairburn was able to take its credit score, was now a credit rating is what they call it, a bond rating. And we went, upon my arrival, the city of Fairburn's credit rating was equivalent to someone with a credit score of 400. Upon my departure 4 years ago, excuse me, it was equivalent to someone with an 850 credit score. And so we were able, a lot of the credit rating was a problem of Fairburn. One of the proud things that I am very proud of, upon my arrival, the city of Fairburn had the highest crime rate in the county. Let me repeat that, in the county. And so I took a charge having at one point trying to become a military police. So I took a special interest in that, and we were able to, in 2 years.
You listen, you had me till you did. You know, the first ticket I ever received in life was from an MP on the military. I don't know, Mr. Avery. You just
dog, I should have been me.
That was the first ticket I was leaving Fort Gillum on my way off post. And just as I was reaching the gate, he stopped me going 5 miles over. And I ain't like MPs I'm just being honest with you.
Hey, well, and I'm sorry about that. I just wish I could have been there to give it to you. But and so we were very proud that we took the city of Fairburn, and it's you go to safewise.com, they'll show you that the city of Fairburn went from one of the highest crime rate cities in the state to being in the top 9% out of 423 municipalities and towns and county governments, and we did it in 18 months. And so again, that's a reflection of the staff that the Lord blessed me the wisdom to hire certain personnel. And so between our bond rating, between our credit score, we were able to bring commerce in our city. And then one last thing, and I'll hurry up because I know we got to get into the questions. One of the proudest events I'm very proud of to this day. The city of Fairburn annually hosts what is known as the Fairburn Fall Festival. When I became the mayor during my city council period, the event on average would draw somewhere in the neighborhood of, on a good day, it would be maybe 2,000 people, actually it was 500, 500. And we grew that from 500 my first year all the way to 25,000. And so, and if you can go on YouTube on the Fairburn Fall Festival 2017, that was my last event, where the great John Lewis was my grand marshal, 50 mayors from 50 cities, the longest parade, and being a proud HBCU graduate, as Ms. Labat is, 8 marching bands, half college, half high school. And again, that was my final event to help bring our city together. And so I'm running again because in this case, the city of Fairburn right now, unfortunately, has been the subject of some negative publicity. And I was actually, in this case, led to run as a result of an issue in our city in one of the most prominent neighborhoods, Durham Lakes, where a liquor store and gas station is being proposed. I took charge back in April, was asked to come, and I'm just going to be very transparent. I actually had no intention, none, when I was coming in to assist these people, and I went on a 7-day fast, and I asked the Lord one question: is this the will of God for my life? And I didn't expect him to say yes, but he did. Gotcha. And so here I am.
We must follow the will of God. Well, thank you so much for that introduction. We appreciate having you with us this evening. Ms. Labat, I want to come to you. Listen, you mentioned three, I want to say you said it was kind of threefold, your platform and what you're trying to do. Now, I'm going to jump back and then jump ahead. Quite often, Ms. Labat, you mentioned that, you're not seeking it to be a career thing. And so quite often I've seen post-at-large seats are signified or generally for those individuals who are looking to move beyond the city council and move to the mayoral position. Now, I don't know if that's at all in your future or even considering that, the fact that we are in a mayoral election, but of all the races, why was a post 3 at-large seated, not just the, whatever district you live in? Why not that district?
So, great question. First of all, thank you for that. Let's see, post 3 at large for me was sort of an obvious and only choice because, as I said, I have wonderful personal and professional relationships with just about everybody on council. So this was not for me. I literally cannot say that there's any one person on Atlanta City Council that I was gunning for that I thought, man, they really need to get out of office. So this wasn't about unseating.
Labat, you can tell
What's
me.
that? I can tell you, it's just us. No, I mean, it was not about unseating anybody. And so if Andre Dickens was still running for this seat, I would not have run because this is not about unseating Andre. Like him or not, I didn't think he was doing a bad job. Right. And so same went for Marcy Overstreet and the same went for everybody else in my district. Right. I could only run for Marcy's seat or Dre's, to be honest. So, at that point for me, and again, it wasn't about politics. For me, it was more of a call to serve. And so I don't see it as a paycheck and I don't see it as the defining moment in my life. To be quite honest, I lost my mom, who was an Atlanta public school teacher when I was 25. And she's part of the reason that my trajectory in life changed because I was going to use that biology degree, but I decided not to pursue dental school because I was all of a sudden found out I was 8 weeks pregnant with my daughter when she passed and I was only 25. And for me, at that moment, I made a decision. Every job I had would be a job that worked around my family. I was forever encouraged, go to law school, do this, do that. Even when I worked with Mrs. King, she wanted me more engaged on a more executive level. And she offered to have someone come in and help with the kids. And I just remember saying, the kids don't grow up backwards. And I don't profess to have been a perfect parent, but they don't grow up backwards. And so as a mom, that's why I took my hat off to Mayor Bottoms, because, we're empty nesters, but I would never honestly be doing this if I had small children in the house. Because something's got to give for me, and I can't just half do something, right? So for me, I actually, once I spent 2 years full-time really running my husband's campaign, and he was successful, I had a lot of back in corporate America job offers coming at me in January, February, and my head was kind of spinning, and I thought, well, let me just take my time and evaluate what I do want to do. Another thing about this particular assignment, and I don't really call it a political office, I just call it a call to serve. But another thing about it, it dovetails with our lifestyle in my household. And it wouldn't take me to, I used to do a lot of corporate meeting planning and business management, and I traveled all the time. But this, in a sense, would at least align our interests, and maybe perhaps we'll bump into each other every now and then and be able to have lunch and just not grow apart. Because for us, maintaining our marriage, even though I'm an independent thinker, let me repeat that, I'm an independent thinker. Anybody who knows me and Patrick's relationship just is like, oh boy. But I'm an independent thinker, but at the end of the day, we can disagree fiercely. 9 to 5. We can disagree after 5, but at the end of the night, we go into bed in the same bed. There you go. And we are going to have a marriage, okay? So for me, this position was just ideal. We talked about it, we prayed about it. My older sister kind of took the prayer warrior position in our family when my mom died. So I had to talk to her, and she was on board. And genuinely, everybody I spoke to about me doing this, from my old bosses to colleagues, friends, other municipal elected officials, other state elected officials, everybody was excited. So for me, it was really a passion to be able to make a difference, and knowing that I have the relationships that are going to be needed to bring people to the middle, because this is a nonpartisan position, right? I haven't run for anything else, and I haven't run for a Democratic seat, or I haven't run for this seat. And I think that makes me a little bit of a unicorn, because you'll notice, and I don't shame it. The old Log Cabin Republicans endorsed me, but also the Atlanta Black Chambers endorsed me. It's a nonpartisan seat, and we have to just bring people together to move Atlanta forward, period.
Right. No, I agree with you 100% on that. And I think that's really the best idea all around. If you've ever had an opportunity to watch this show or heard anything about it, I am always an advocate of, I could care less about parties. I'm more about getting the work done. And that's most important for me, really for all the citizens of our area. Now, I want to ask you this, and I'm going to get Damita to chime in here. I'm sure she has some. Damita's probably inching over there. I know how she is. But I want to ask this because you mentioned the youth. Now, something that I think the city of Atlanta needs to do, and I don't know why Mayor Bottoms didn't do it. I don't know why Mayor Reed didn't do it. It was such a success in the 90s that they should bring back Dream Jamboree. Are you familiar with that? Do you remember that?
Yes, I am familiar. And I'm so glad you said that, because I have an initiative that's along those lines.
All right, I'm going to look for you.
Yes. So quickly, during Patrick's last couple of years at the Atlanta Detention Center, I did notice a big shift in society and a big shift in criminal justice reform. And as opposed to just locking people up and just punishing, some people deserve some locking up and some people deserve some punishing. But I say that to say, what else were you doing? How can we engage these kids and keep them out of jail? Not just humane housing and re-entry, but where are we talking pre-entry? And what do we do to get them diverted? So we began having a youth empowerment summit. Now, his chief jailer actually came up with this Junior Corrections Leadership Academy, and they had these classes on Saturdays, and every now and then he'd say, hey, we're going down to speak to the parents, get dressed. So I'd go speak. But after about 10 graduations, I thought, what would it be if all the classes came together and we did a youth empowerment summit? And we had workshops and we did breakout sessions. So we did a group session on depression with Shanti Das and peer pressure. Then they had breakouts on financial literacy and wealth management. What is real wealth? You know, you're making candles on Instagram, but let's figure out, you know, if you don't want to go to college, vocational training, and also college career prep and interactions with law enforcement. So one of my real goals is to bring that program back, whether it's a partnership with the city and the county, or however it is done, on a grander scale, because I think now more than ever, our kids need, and APS and Fulton County schools, like the school systems can't possibly begin to accommodate everyone and make up for that learning gap that people are going to experience.
I absolutely think it was probably one of the greatest things. Now, I don't know how long Dream Jamboree had begun, but I was in high school in the 90s. So it was, you know, a big thing for us, and we enjoyed it all too often during that time frame. So I hope that they will bring it back eventually. I hope at least your administration, you'll be able to bring it back. Damita, do you have any questions? Can
I comment on that too? I actually worked at the city of Atlanta during the Dream Jamboree period, and it was a great asset to the city of Atlanta, whereby actually one of the as an initiative that sprung out of my participate in that is that I was actually able to create what was known as the Youth Academy in the city of Fairburn, where got it approved through Fulton County schools, whereby kids would come from elementary, middle, and high would come once a month, and basically I would have between corporate CEOs. I had a gentleman that worked for the President Obama, one of his cabinet members. I've had every level of personnel, not all successful, and that was deliberate. And so one of the things that we were able to do, the school board gave them credit for coming to the academy, the Youth Academy in the city of Fairburn. And that's something I'm very proud of. Again, like I said, that's ministry I'm actually planning to join in my church. And so one of the other things too that Ms. Labat mentioned, that I'm actually one of the programs that I actually having a family member of 600 plus in the metro Atlanta, a fair share of my relatives have been to jail. And so again, I know most of us running for public office would love to paint this picture that we're spotless and, you know, that we've never had any setbacks. And so one of the things that I make it no secret growing up in Atlanta, The only difference between me and my younger brother that went to jail, one got caught. And so
Listen,
we were
two types of people in the world, Mr. Avery, is caught and uncaught.
yes. So the Lord blessed me. Once he got caught, I just got caught up rather. And so I make that no secret that again, as a result of that, I have a sense of obligation in my heart now where I'm talking to a vendor that I'm a member of the National Association of Minority Contractors, literally just got off the board meeting before this interview. One of our vendors that I brought to the organization has a recidivism program whereby kids that's been to jail, men and women, whereby he offers them an opportunity to become gainfully employed and to gain job experience. And so it's so easy. Again, one of my, having been a college graduate with an MBA, all of our kids, a lot of our kids in our city are doing great things, but there's a lot of our kids that need second opportunities. And having watched several of my members of my family, my youngest nephew, I'm proud to this day. Spent several years in jail, one of the most successful business owners in the trucking company I've ever seen. And so I know that if given a second opportunity, a lot of our kids, and a lot of our adults just look for somebody that will believe that life gives you a second chance. And so I make that no secret. That's something that's passionate to me. If we're talking about, living the Christ life, the question would be everybody slips up, often. So.
All of us do. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like what I'm hearing. And Joe, since I'm not from Atlanta, I don't know nothing about the Jamboree. It sounds like it was a great program. I'm going to say I ain't gonna mess the name up because I call it Labat.
That's it.
That's it. But I got a chance to meet her and watch her when she was doing her husband campaign. And so we got to do something. I have to agree. We have to do something with our youth. Everybody don't want to go to college. So, Joe, we got to make sure whoever get elected, I think, have a plan for the ones that don't want to go to college. And we got some brilliant kids that not only live in South Fulton, but all over. So the plan got to be laid out. And so I appreciate, what you're doing and the questions that you ask. I'm just going to continue on, let you do what you do, Joe.
Brother Avery, I want to, so I have to ask this question to you, sir. And I understand that you said, and I never question, anybody's calling or what they believe. I'm a firm believer in that because I wasn't there when God called. So I don't ever question anybody's calling. But, you served 2 terms as mayor, and prior to that, you had served as a city council member for the city of Fairburn. And I understand you saying that there was a group of individuals that, kind of pushed and prodded you to get back into this place. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I have to ask, do you not think that the current mayor of Fairburn is doing an effective enough job that you had to come back into this race to make it happen? Or could you have assisted in a way that would make her more successful? Why now are you back running? Well,
and first of all, let me say, because a question that's been asked often, why you left. A lot of our residents were just totally caught off guard. Truthfully, and I'm not going to talk in riddles. I'm going to talk very candidly. I was actually, the Lord gave me 4 promptings to leave. I didn't understand why, but during my first 3 years out of office, I had 3 surgeries, unknown to me. And so during that period, one of the things that me and my wife both agreed that was a blessing not to be in public office while dealing with those 3 surgeries. Right. 3 years back to back. And so I followed the prompting, but one of the reasons, and again, in my efforts as relates to the job that Mayor Hurst is doing, I'm running for the mayor of Fairburn because there's a standard that was established during my tenure. And again, no personal offense to her, but a lot of the standards that I acquired, number one, the standard of the customer service was not an option in my administration. The response time was not an option. But the issue that really has now brought me back in, and again, like I said, I went on a fast. There's a situation in our city whereby a liquor store and a gas station is being proposed for the most prominent subdivision in our city.
Now, is it one of each or the combination of both?
There's a combination of all that what I'm saying. And again, I've run a very positive campaign as relates to, again, that's just, I'm sorry, that's just how I operate, but I'm a firm believer in being very direct as relates to issues. It's inexcusable that we're having a conversation still this late in the year that I started bringing to light in April. The mayor, because we were in an open forum, I can actually say this because she said it in an open forum. She told the Durham Lakes HOA at a forum with council members present, I believe, that she was going to stop the curb cut that would allow that. I actually gave the mayor 3 times at 3 forums back to back the options needed to kill the project. So the question will be now, here's why this project is such a detriment. And again, there's other issues in our family, but here's why this project, if you are familiar with the Renaissance Festival, there's a subdivision right across from it, that's Durham Lakes. It's not a secret that the people have made it clear they're going to move because these 2 projects would kill their property value instantly. I've made it no secret. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not bring our city to the level of prominence where John Lewis even came to our Fairway Festival breakfast that morning and talked about the greatness that our administration, but the city of Fairway as a whole, along with 40 and 50 other mayors in this case, celebrating the success, but only for us to turn around now to be addressing the issue that would not only kill property value, but again, during that meeting, the mayor made a comment that she had a meeting with David Scott. I'm not sure what David Scott would have had to do with this, but the mayor had it within her authority to this very day to kill that project and save quality of housing. And so as a result of that, again, that's just one of several issues. Okay, go ahead. I'll just leave it at that.
No. Well, I was just going to ask you, so what would be the downgrade, or what would be the percentage concerning the property value issue? Because I know that those types of things can cause some issues, but I didn't think it would be that big of an issue. That
let me give you a confirmation of just how bad it is. Number one, and again, I'm just stating the facts. I'm not gonna I don't believe all that attacking. But if the project was so legit, a sitting council member that lives at the very front of the subdivision wasn't even told that this project was actually on tap. Something's wrong with that picture. Number one, here's the other problem with that. His name Councilmember Smallwood. Congratulations to him, he just got reelected. But here's the other problem with that. Not only was his property at the very front of it, the gas station would be sitting in his backyard. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the problem with that project. Those houses in that area are 400, 500,000 and up. I don't know too many people who spend that type of money for a house and expect to have to deal with this type of deplorable type of commercial development. And so I've never, again, several people have actually sold. One gentleman, I think he just recently sold the house. He made it clear, I'm getting out before they even start. And so I'll make that no secret, guys. If they'll do it to this subdivision, then that means the subdivision next to where my house, the Magnolias and the other places, it's just a matter of time because the precedence has been set. And so again, it's about, we've acquired a quality of life in the city of Fairhaven, and men and women that were coming from everywhere was proud not only to live in it, but to work in our city.
Wow. Damita, you're on mute.
Thank you, Joe. What I'm hearing, and I hear what Mr. Avery is saying, but it's just like the warehouses that's being built around us right now. And I'm hearing when people purchase their land, I can't tell anyone what to build on their land because they own that land. So how can, I want to figure out, how can a gas station and is it a convenience liquor store?
Yes, ma'am.
Just make folks move their house, sell their house because.
Well, let me tell you why, because during the former mayor's administration, 8 years of her term, 8 years of mine, this was never issued. Let me tell you why. The ingress and egress was established to ensure that that type of commercial development could never end up there. That wasn't by accident. It was deliberately done when it was built to ensure that under no circumstances, certain commercial development, it was actually designed, the 2 commercial lots was actually supposed to be a rental center for housing and a small health center for Durham Lake residents only. That's well documented. And so now the only way you can actually get those two commercial uses in there, the city has to approve what is known as a curb cut. Which my question would be, why would you approve a curb cut to bring you development that the residents have made it real clear they don't want? Number one, never intended. And so again, and let me give you a little difference too, ma'am, Damita, as it relates to the warehouse. I wrote that down. Here's the difference in your warehouse situation. Again, and I'm not saying I'm pro warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
If I had explained this during one of our meetings, and I explained, we were on the phone, and we were on the Zoom meeting. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, go pull out. I said, go pull your phone out. Go to Google Maps. And I said, go to Highway 74. And I said, I want you to go straight down. It runs through Fairburn, Tyrone. And I said, as soon as you get to the area, if you can identify where Peachtree City, I said, look to your right. And I said, you'll notice on the top of a berm, you'll see warehouses. There's a program that was under the 2050 statewide transportation plan. The warehouse is not a new venture. And again, I'm not saying I'm welcoming that. I just want to make sure it's real clear. This was not new. The warehousing issue is up in the north part of the county. It's a different part. We're one of the last areas over here in the Southwood area where it came from. And what I'm telling you, the reason I'm saying that it's a problem, because unlike warehouses, unlike liquor stores and gas stations, bring crime. That's well documented. People didn't buy a house for $400,000 and $500,000 half a million to deal with an issue, again, that my administration actually solved and brought it down to the top 9% safest cities in the state, only for you to bring a commercial development that literally invites the very problem we resolved back in.
Wow. Well, and speaking of that, Mr. Avery, that makes me want to jump back over here to Miss Labat and inquire about that. Miss Labat, of course, that is something that's plaguing apparently now the city of Fairburn, but every corner in Atlanta. In every corner in Atlanta, there's a gas station, there's a liquor store, and there's a church. Let's just be honest. In every corner in Atlanta, we find that same issue. And again, all of us, with the exception of Damita, nothing thrown at you but Damita, but we all grew up in the city of Atlanta. So we know, what's happening there. Being at a post at large seat, you have a greater view of what the city needs and what's going on there. Now, let me be very honest. I don't live in the city anymore. I live in Conyers, but I lived in the city up until about 3 years ago. Atlanta was home. It was always home. That was, like Mr. Avery here, I spent years in the military and got out and came back home to Atlanta. But I've seen such a drastic change and not always for the good in the city. And it's been concerning to me because and people always ask, Atlanta is definitely not the place I grew up. It's not the place that I had saw fit for my children to grow up in, but nevertheless, it's home. I see more often than never, Ms. Labat, constant or year after year, campaign cycle after campaign cycle, all of these promises to the city, but never any true promises to the community. I can ride up and down almost any street in Atlanta and not see, below I-20 and not see the remnants of the work that they said there was going to be done. But when I go above I-20, I see the work being done. What can you say? I don't want to use the word promise, but what initiatives or plans do you have in place to ensure that the city looks better when you ride everywhere? Because honestly, I'm tired of riding on one side. Now, I love my Cascade, Martin Luther King. I love it. I grew up in Southwest Atlanta. I love it. I love my Sylvan Hills, my Capitol View. I love all this area. And I love every other area in Atlanta, but I'm tired of seeing the areas for which I grew up in still looking the same way. And every year we have city council members coming in to make a change. West End, it's another area. It's looked the same forever. What are they doing? They built this big old park over on what used to be Simpson, but now, but appreciative for the park, but nobody lives there to walk over there to the park. So, help me to understand what plans or initiatives do you have in place to help bring Atlanta back to the beautiful place that we knew?
Well, I think that's a great question too. One of the things that I remember in my childhood growing up was going to Greenbrier and getting school shoes.
Mhm.
And it was a viable mall. It was
Buster Brown.
yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, open toe sandals. I thought I was hot stuff with a little bitty wedge on it, but you know, we would go to the library down near Greenbrier. We go to the movies down near Greenbrier.
Yes. Yes.
It was a viable complex.
Right.
And I think that when you look at the dollars that are spent out at Phipps and Lenox, and at this point, you know, you have a whole entire subsector, Buckhead, wanting to break off because really there's a clientele coming there that they don't want to come there.
Associated, right?
And I do feel as though, I mean, obviously, bad, unruly behavior, violence, and all that should not be tolerated anywhere. What I'm saying is, I think there are dollars, and there's a way to build thriving economic subsectors on various parts of town, and it's got to be spread out, and it's really more smart growth. And when you're looking at a post-pandemic growth factor, I think there's a real opportunity to level set because everybody is having to back up and punt, right? So when you talk about, for example, I love the new Publix on South Fulton Parkway, right back up off of Camp Creek. We go there all the time. And, you know, we can branch that. We went on vacation with a friend. He's a wealth management advisor. And we just had this random conversation about stale fruit and vegetables and meat. And when we first bought our house over here 3 years ago, we grew up in Southwest Atlanta, but lived where our kids were at the time when Patrick and I got married so as not to displace them. So moving back into Southwest Atlanta, we were so excited. We started grocery shopping at the, you know, Cascade stores and so forth. And I noticed I'd get ground beef, and within a day, I mean, the date was still good, but it was brown. And I was like asking this guy, he said, so there's this algorithm, and you know, they do loss prevention, and they do this and they do that, and they look at their losses, and then they decide where they're shipping this food and that food. And you end up with kind of less than because they feel like they're in a high risk neighborhood, so to speak. And I thought, well, but if you look around South Fulton, Atlanta, up Danforth and back down New Hope, like there's, what are you talking about? These are professional people, and we can have good things too.
Mr. Avery's point, $500,000 and $600,000 homes, if not more. Well, I know more.
And what, you know, as an at-large council member, one of the things that is important to me is to have a footprint across all 12 districts. So when you said District 3, I wanted to clarify because there is a District 3. There's 12 districts and 3 posts at large, 1, 2, 3 seats. I feel like as an at-large council member, we have to be across the city. We have to talk with every MPU. It's 52 weeks in a year, 26 MPUs. We ought to be able to get to a meeting, right? At least 2 a year. But we ought to have our finger on the pulse of what's happening on a continual basis and what they want to see in their communities, because some communities don't want to have the same things others do, right? And when you look around Atlanta, you talk about 200 plus neighborhoods, right? You're trying to figure out what's the culture of this neighborhood, what makes this neighborhood work, what makes this one special. You end up trying to give a blanketed swath approach, but whether it's zoning, whether it's density, whether it's commercial, you know, building and growth that's going on, I've had people to email me and say, I live in a condo down on Peachtree by 14th Street. Can you do something about the noise? And it's like, that's like saying you went to New York City and can you do something about the traffic? Like, you know, you live right downtown. I don't know what I can do about the noise. Like, I agree with nuisance and I agree with holding people accountable and, you know, the mufflers and people who are disruptive. But when you're doing inner city living, that's different than say if you live in a Fairburn or a Fayetteville or something. So I think we have to talk to our MPU chairs and find out what type of growth people want to see and will support, because that's how it's going to thrive. It's for people to spend their money there when it's built, you know?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly. So former Mayor Avery, do you have MPUs in Fairburn?
They don't call them necessarily MPUs. They have, in this case, HOA I go to
Yeah,
several.
of course. Yeah.
I go to the HOA meetings and I talk to various HOA presidents. But let me tell you one of the things that I did that was very beneficial for us. Having been, again, grew up in the hood in Bankhead Highway. One of the things that I did, one of the first initiatives that I took on, and again, I had right before I got married, my wife wasn't happy about this when I told her I did it. I said, there's an area in our city called the Lightning Community that was supposed to be the Bankhead of Bankhead, which in this case, the hood of the hood, inside the hood. And I deliberately, one day at midnight, I parked my car on one end as a strip, and I walked in the middle of the road. And I'll never forget one of the guys asked me, "You the man?" I said, "I'm gonna be real soon." And I was right. And I said, "I'm trying to find out if this neighborhood as bad as everybody makes it out to be." Yeah. And so I went down there for myself at night because a lot of activity happens at night that doesn't happen during the day. Now again, for some that may not be in a smart move, or just that I wanted to know. I didn't want to rely on police or anyone to tell me. So long story short, I went through that area at night, and then during the day, I actually had several residents that, a lot of them with children, talk to me about what's wrong, what's going on in this neighborhood. What is it that you want between? And so one of the things that came out was all the dilapidated housing, the drugs. And so what happened, one of the things that was surprising to me, a lot of the people were at a head, small children. And when I say small, I'm referring to the ages between 3 and 7. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things they said, there's nothing for our children to do. One of the things that I'm very proud of, and I said, guys, first thing we're going to do, I said, we're going to do an initiative, ask the city council, would you approve us to abolish, and we gave the homeowners the opportunity that if you don't come and take care of this property, we're going to abolish it. In this case, we'll deal with you legally. So we took down, I know, 6 or 7 houses. One of the other things that we're very proud of, right in the heart of the community. We built this, and again, I have to give Fulton County government's credit. And I apologize, can't think of the agency that we dealt with, but we built a humongous playground right in the heart of the community. And I said, guys, I even asked them, I said, I like for this playground to be fenced in. And I said, here's why. I said, because if the people are bringing their children here, and it's a main road right through the center of the hood. I said, guys, if people are bringing their children here, I'd like for them to be able to close that gate and actually be able not to worry about the kids running, just being children and getting killed. And so we were able, and you'd be surprised right now and so one of the things, the community policing, I told the police officers, the chief of police at that time, we're trying to make it look like all the crime is coming out of this one community. We're going to find out. And I had the police come in and I said, we're going to sit in their neighborhood. And I said, one of the things we want to make it a point. I said, I want the criminals to know, if you come to Fairmont and get ready, here we are. We're going to be sitting here waiting on you. And I make that no secret, without going into greater detail. We got our crime rate down again. Like I told you, we went from the highest crime rate to one of the lowest. The tactic that was used, I make that no secret. Even the chief of police told me, said, well, Mayor, you're probably going to get a call from the governor's office because, there's a couple of state highways. I said, well, how you think they get here? I said, I want them to know. Yes, right. I said, well, and I wait for the governor. I got the governor's office. They called me, hey, you guys gonna have to assist in the seats with some of your police officers. Fine, Mr. Governor, we're glad to do it. But guess what? The message has been sent. This is not the place for criminals to hang out.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate that we only have this short time. We have about 13 minutes left on the show, but I'm a tag team real quick, and I want you to give me your best answers. I'm gonna come back to you real quickly, Mr. Avery. Mr. Avery, there's concern, and this is a very candid show. You said you're a very candid guy. There's concern of a commercial that you have.
Commercial I have?
Yes.
Okay,
commercial, that you were speaking about, the current mayor, if you will, and the backdrop, unfortunately, didn't look like you and I. Any words about that?
The backdrop, you refer to the Caucasian.
The people
in this case, that was, well, here's what you don't know. And
that's what I want to know, what I don't know.
Well, let me tell you one of the things that I'm very proud of. Again, I hired the most diverse staff when I became the mayor. I hired a city manager, and let me be, because I understand where this is going and where it's coming from. First of all, a miscommunication, a misdirection that was made by the current administration. Let's call it what it is. That the city manager I hired was Caucasian, and so the part that I'm amazed is that the city manager who was Caucasian hired a Black HR director, a Black CFO, a Black assistant CFO, a Black female engineer. And I said, it's amazing. That seemed to be a problem with people that and a Black female judge. I said, that seems to be a problem with people that for whatever reason that look like us, that's in critical position, that brought our city to prominence. The brains and the bronze were a critical position. Here's the other part that's amazing. The one commercial video they looked at where in this case where you see the two Caucasian females at the end, in the middle couple is actually a mixed couple, Italian and Caucasian, and then the first couple is Black. But you know what's amazing? The part that I'm amazed is that we sit here and talk about wanting diversity. I made it no secret. One of the first mayors that went to the Hispanic community and had one of the biggest Spanish participation in my administration during the Fairview Festival. I went to a congregation and asked, would you interpret for me? I said, we're going to have the historical Black college. I make that no secret. I brought the historical Black colleges there. I brought the Black, in this case, a Black legend there. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, the city of Fairview is made up of 2 or 3 different races. Why in the world would I not represent everyone? And so, again, looking for a Hail Mary, doing this runoff, I'm not mad at her, but the problem you're going to have, I represent everybody. And that is why I represent everybody. And again, my cabinet that I appointed was a reflection of just how much I trust in African Americans that are qualified to do the job. Again, yes, now once I've integrated our staff, yes, in this case, the one concern I got is that the people, if you're going to replace, well, let me say this because it's public news. I wanted to ask. You've had 3 city managers. Nobody lasted more than 6 to 9 months in 3 years.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, who's the common denominator? You answer the question.
I love it. Ms. Labat, we find ourselves right here at the cusp. Your husband recently became so successful at becoming the new sheriff of Fulton County. Like everything else, there's always change. How do you see, and you mentioned this early on, and again, we have short time, but I want you to, as best as you can, how do you see your position as a post 3 at large? Did I say it right that time? Yeah.
Yes.
As well as I know Atlanta, I know that, all the districts in it.
I know.
How do you see your position working with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office? And that is before 5 o'clock when y'all get home for dinner.
Right. Well, I will say this about that, because one of the things that we talked about early on in talking through it was talking to some attorney friends and people in the city attorney's office and the ethics office. And so I don't want to ever give the impression, because it wouldn't be true, that my seat would be an extension of the sheriff's office. I mean,
well, it can't be.
Again, we will agree to disagree. Right. And where we agree, we agree. I mean, that's just the realness of it. So I would never put myself in a position to have a conflict of interest. Right. And should any legislation or anything come across my desk, and relationship wise, I'm just going to operate in a genuine and authentic way. I have relationships with county commission myself, and Patrick has his relationships. And as I said, just recently within last week, Patrick is the sheriff and I am the sheriff's wife. And I do have a role as his wife in being a leaning ear or leaning shoulder for some of his staff when it comes to family crises and deaths and that sort of thing. And so I shied away from the whole first lady title. I thought, oh, that's so pretentious and I don't want that. And they really took it so seriously, and they started it at the city, right? And I was like, just call me Jacki. And they took it so seriously, it was almost offensive for me not to take it seriously. And so that just transferred over into this role. And I'll say that, being a sheriff is crime and public safety, courts and the warrants and the jail centric. Being on city council is all encompassing. When you talk about my platform, which I love that Mr. Avery talked about getting the kids engaged at very early ages, from youth engagement to the affordable housing, crime and public safety, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I didn't want to come up with any kind of catchy hashtags of the platform without really talking to the people to see what was important. Those just happen to be the top 3. But as you dig into this and you learn, I try to read 5 newspapers on my phone before I wake up in the morning just to know what is happening, and so that I can be knowledgeable about funds coming from the feds and infrastructure and transportation and the bike lanes and smart rail on the Beltline. There are so many more issues. So I just envision my assignment and my task as really to serve Atlanta in the best way possible. And where Fulton County and Atlanta meet, I'm just going to work in the best interest of the collective, right? And my constituency. And I respect my husband and my husband's position as sheriff. So I let him do his job, and I will absolutely just do mine.
Awesome. Damita, you have anything before I give them their tags before we go?
Yeah, it was a great show. Thank you guys. And I was listening at Mr. Avery. He was talking about, I think, the dorm lakes.
Yes, ma'am.
And this, I kind of thought about South Fulton. When Fulton County was under the commissioners, when zoning approved something, once it approved and then the market crashed, it's that right of the developer to come back and build what was approved back then. And I'm saying that because I live in a community where in our area, something was zoned and approved under the leadership of the late Commissioner Darnell. The market crashed. Now that the market has picked up, those developers have come back. Some have sold the land, some still own the land. And so whatever was on the books then, they want it built now. So was this gas station and stuff on the books? Because I did some research and I think it was like 2002, 2003.
Can I correct you if you don't mind, man, before we run out of time?
Yes.
First of all, it was not the ingress and the egress again was built in 2002 to ensure. The mayor's administration agreed curb cut, which means the property was not even authorized for that commercial use until she gave them authorization at some point to do the curb cut, which means the question you have to ask yourself, why in the world do a mayor handle the administration in mind? That was never asked. You know why they wouldn't do it? We wouldn't even consider it, because now with the curb cuts, they still have one hurdle though. And here's the problem. Here's the problem I'm going to tell the people in Durham Lakes. The problem you have is that if she approves that before she leaves office, you remove me, if I'm your mayor, from any legal opportunity to stop her. And again, if she wanted to stop, she used Congressman Scott's name as a punchline, like he was going to come in and do something for that. That's not a federal issue. And again, you play mind games, which you want to, but the one thing about zoning, the one benefit I got that a lot of mayors don't have, I work for 2 cities of Atlanta. Mayor, I watch zoning back and forth.
I was just gonna come through that. The mayor and I go to a lot of zoning and been involved. The mayor don't approve it. It have to go through zoning. So somewhere the zoning approved it. So
exactly, ma'am.
Whoever worked on zoning approved it.
You're correct. You just said it. I did. The zoning should approve curb cut. But
follow.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'm sorry that we don't have more time, but I definitely want to invite you all back out.
Yes.
Mr. Avery, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sorry that we didn't get a chance to learn more about you, but listen, you got 1 minute. This is your stump speech. Give me 1 minute of what the city of Fairburn needs to know as they go back to the polls.
The city of Fairburn needs to know that you've got a guy that got a reputation for bringing people together, got a person for making sure smart development and making sure that quality of life is protected at all costs. With me being your mayor, one of the other things you got in your benefit, you got a person with a compliance background, which ensures that stuff is done in decent order, especially when it comes to contracting.
Fantastic. Ms. Labat, again, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to hearing more from both of you all.
Thank you.
Have 1 minute for your stump speech. Let Atlanta know why you.
Yes. So first of all, thank you all, and thank the voters who got me this far. As a first-time candidate, I am beyond thrilled, and I feel that I've already claimed the victory. We had a crisis with our youngest son, who's 22. You talk about kids who don't always just thrive, and that was the very beginning of this campaign, and I didn't even think I'd make it this far. So for me, he's engaged in this campaign. He's been running our yard signs. it's
Right.
just an example of how we can find. I felt guilty because I had a straight A daughter and I always chided him on his grades, but it wasn't about his grades. It was like, what excites you? And
Right.
praise him on just some other things. You know, that was great today. But I say that to say I want to spread that across Atlanta. I'm a uniter. I think Atlanta is very divided right now. I think we need to move Atlanta in a joint direction. And I think we need to have somebody who will get people across all 12 districts engaged. Voter turnout should be an indicator that people are not very, very confident in the leadership, but I think we can surprise them. So visit my website, Jacki for Atlanta. That's no E, JACKIFOR. Atlanta.
That's no E. I
Thank
like it. That's a good little tagline.
And early voting, doesn't it start next Wednesday?
That's exactly. So I'm about to mention, ladies and gentlemen, early voting is November 17th through the 24th. Early voting, November 17th through the 24th, and election day is November 30th. Listen, both candidates have mentioned it. Voter turnout is extremely low. When I got a chance to look at the numbers, I was so depressed to see how many people actually turned out to vote. So there's a bigger issue lining in the back. I just hope that you, Ms. Labat, and you, Mr. Avery, are able to get out the vote in your respective areas and in your respective roles to be able to serve in the capacity for which you both are focused on. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you will know that WCEG, the People's Choice, is a friend of yours. You're always welcome back, and I hope to hear back from you when you all are serving in your roles. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for your patience. There were so many more questions I had, but we're going to get back to it. We're going to get.
And I'm sorry. Am I able? How would I be able to get? I want to make sure I get this link because apparently some subject matter came up earlier today with the interview, Ms. Hurst. I want to make sure.
Right. So it is, just so you know, it is shared to it's on the WCEG page. It's also mine's. You can look for my page, which is Joe Flint. You can be able to share it. I'll make sure I share it to all of you all. It'll be shared to your pages as well. But thank you for joining us here on WCE People's Choice. Thank you, Damita, godmother, watchdog, everything that you are. Mr. Avery, thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate you both for joining us here tonight on WCEG.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.